Welcome to Nikon School Online. My name is Chris Dalton and I'm Professional Markets Manager at Nikon Australia and host of Nikon School Online. I've been with Nikon for over 10 years and manage genres across surf, dive, video, fine arts and Department of Defence. Now, before I introduce our guest, which we've already done, just a few housekeeping things. To ensure all of your questions are answered, please put them in the speech bubble or the chat, which you'll find at the bottom of your screen. Most of you have already found that. If you want to put a test message in there, you can do that. We also have Ross and Sarah from Nikon Australia here tonight as well, who will be managing the chat. So if you see Ross answering your questions, that's simply to give me a hand. Now, during the session, we ask that you keep your microphones on mute. This will eliminate any background noise for Ray and myself, but also for other contestants or participants of the event, of the night. At the conclusion of the session, we'll be sending you a feedback survey. If you can please fill that out, it helps us shape these courses, but also courses for the future. And we'll finally also be sending you a discount code for the Nikon Australia store. This discount code will give you 15% off Nikon products, and there's some exclusions that do apply. Now on to our guest. Joining us tonight is New South Wales-based photographer Ray Collins. A former winner of the Nikon Surf Photo of the Year award twice. His work has appeared on the covers of international surf magazines and in campaigns for United Airlines, Apple, National Geographic, just to name a few. Around the world, Ray is known for his moody seascapes, documenting all the intimidating strengths of the ocean and exploring the complexities of water and light. In this workshop, Ray will speak to the story behind some of his images, delving into the relationship that he has with various lenses to capture the moody seascapes he is renowned for. Ray says his aim is to show the ocean as a living, breathing thing, to document it in all of its intimidating strengths and to bring awareness to its delicate fragility. Welcome, Ray Collins.
Thanks for having me, Chris, and thanks to Nikon Australia for putting this on.
I love that last little comment there, delicate fragility. That's really wonderful.
Yeah, I hope to show a couple of images that really encapsulate that during this little webinar.
That's wonderful. So as an idea for tonight, everyone, Ray will share his screen and run through some photos, and we're going to go on a metaphorical walk along 16 millimeters all the way up to 800 millimeters. So this should be fun.
Yeah. I'd like to kind of start by saying, I'm a professional photographer, a full-time photographer, but often, like, I don't think about photography. I don't pick up a camera. I don't think about it. I don't edit photos. I go to it when the cycle kind of comes back around. And in those other times, you really question what it is that you do. And when you're passionate about something, I guess you always kind of, like, for me, it's the ocean, obviously, because that's what we're going to be talking about. But even when I don't have a camera or a video camera or a GoPro, I'm in the water regardless, doing, just floating around or swimming or surfing or bodyboarding or whatever. So first and foremost, I feel like the ocean is my kind of home and my safe space. And through an injury in a coal mine where I used to work, that led me to photography, which has enabled me to capture it. Really, it's given me a vehicle to communicate what I see with everyone, with what we're doing now, with where my career's gone and where it's going. So yeah, it really is the biggest blessing in disguise. And man, just if you love something, just work at it and don't expect anything. Just do it because you love it. And that's the number one thing. Like, I didn't have any plan of anything really. It was just doing something that I love, and all of the good things followed. So yeah, don't be discouraged. Just keep showing up, keep doing things differently, and just enjoy yourself, because what's the point otherwise? You just got to love what you do. So thanks again for having me, and I'm going to share my screen with you guys.
Thanks, Ray.
No worries.
We had a friend of all of ours, Stewie Gibson, was on a talk recently, and the same thing happened to him. A motor vehicle accident caused him to take up photography, and it's interesting how that negative thing that happens in your life actually can turn into a positive.
What screen have I got here, guys?
You have your Wave full screen.
And it's the underwater one with a couple of buildings in it?
Yep.
Oh, great. That's where I wanted to start, so that works out pretty well then. So basically this lens, image, was taken underwater on the Gold Coast at a place called Kirra Beach, which is a pretty famous surf spot. It was taken with the Nikon 16mm fisheye, which I have here. Just a little tip for anyone who is thinking about owning this or who already does. You should tape the lens cap on, because it can get really kind of slippery in your bag. And also tape it to, can we see that there? There's a bit of tape over the focus ring.
Yep.
That way, when you're getting beaten around and thrashed around, you won't lose focus and it won't change on you. So when using the fisheye lens, first of all, I'll show you my housing. This is what my camera goes into. So if you're not familiar with a water housing, this is one from my sponsors, Aquatech, and you basically unclip the back, take the back plate off, and slide your camera in like so. So it's basically a box where your camera slides into, and you can access everything on the back with all of your regular functions as if you would shooting it above water or out of the water. So this is taken with a dome port, which like the name suggests is a dome. But the special thing about the underwater ones, which I prefer, is an 8-inch dome as compared to the 6-inch dome. You can see the difference there, this big bubble-like meniscus, if you will. One of the tricks with shooting underwater is knowing how to set your focal distance. Normally, if you're on land and you focus on something, say, a meter away, it's pretty easy. You just, autofocus or manual focus on the thing that's a meter away. When you're underwater, you're actually focusing on a virtual image. Whoa, slow down, egghead. This is what I mean. So your fisheye lens, let me just get a good, so you're actually focusing on this, and it's the image that's being broadcast on the top of this acrylic. It's not the thing that's 3 meters away. It's actually this. It's a reflection on the inside of that. So that's a little hot tip for anyone kind of shooting underwater. Now, about the image. This image is kind of pretty special to me for a number of reasons. It was taken on the last day of the year in 2012. And my wife is kind of sitting just in the middle of around there. She's sitting around there somewhere with 2 long black coffees for me while I'm swimming. The wave's really small. It's really clean. And it just kind of, when I look at it, all technical details aside, it really just brings a sense of clarity, because I guess around this time was when I stopped drinking alcohol and started focusing more on shooting. I won the Surfer of the Year in 2011, and then I kind of didn't shoot for a whole year. I didn't really pick up a camera for 12 months. And then, kind of went through some battles and kind of, just kind of ups and downs, and didn't know where I was headed with kind of my career and life and whatnot. And looking at this, it just, kind of really gives me a sense of clarity that I was on the right path. So, that's what it was shot with, and that's what it means to me. So feel free to jump in with any questions along the way as well. So it'll be easier than me having to backtrack and talk about image number one or whatever. So
technically, Ray, this is technically a hard shot to get, for focus being one reason, but also keeping the water as clear as it is without you kicking up sand and a whole heap of things. What size wave are we talking here?
Well, it wouldn't be much bigger than waist high, to be honest. Anything bigger than that, Chris, usually stirs the sand up, and then you don't get that clarity. I guess the kind of cool thing about this, as opposed to other underwater photos, is that everything's sharp. From corner to corner, the things that are a couple of inches in front, i.e. the wave, is sharp, but also the buildings, which are hundreds of meters away, are sharp. Yeah, it's like a little window to the outside world, I guess, or what a fish sees, a fisheye view shot with a fisheye.
Yeah, it looks like a massive big eye as well. So that clarity story you tell actually now makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, totally.
When did you start shooting, Ray?
I got my first ever camera in 2007. I hadn't used a camera before that. It was a digital camera, so I never went the film route, the purest kind of darkroom chemical route. It was digital, which gave me a really quick learning curve. And yeah, I'm super thankful for how that happened and how, I guess, quick things have gone in that short amount of time.
Question just here on the housing, and I think we might just answer that now before we go forward. Oh. So how do you attach the dome to the housing?
Let me show you. So this has got a port on it for a 70 to 200, okay? Now, the good thing about it is you can zoom from 70 to 200. So when you want to put a different port on, this is a lens port that I'm about to take off. So you just unscrew it. This is going to drip on me because I used it yesterday. There's real big waves around on the East Coast right now, if you may have seen on the news or wherever. So that screws out. It's got like a thread in there. And the dome has the same thread, the male thread, and that just screws in like so. Now I'm equipped to shoot fisheye. If you don't want backscatter and refraction from inside the camera, you should layer the inside of your the back of the dome with a non-reflective substance. Like on this, I've got some neoprene. So if it's a glossy kind of finish, it can reflect and make some weird kind of things. But fortunately, Acotec have this inlay with all of their ports. So if you're not using an Acotec and you're getting some problems, that could be it. You just get some felt or some neoprene and that will absorb the light rather than reflect the light. So yeah, I hope I answered the question about the dome.
The difference is one's a dome and one's a port.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you've got flat ports and you've got dome ports basically. And I'm really good at scratching them. They're acrylic.
So with a shot like this, do you pre-focus and then just leave it into manual focus with shots like this?
Yeah. Yep. So the sweet spot I found would be about 1 foot. So yeah, 12 inches. Usually if I haven't got it taped, like if I do want to change, because if you're shooting underwater, everything out of the water is out of focus. So you kind of have to make the decision. Am I shooting waves from outside or am I shooting waves from under the water? And if you're not committing by taping it and setting it, what I tend to do is just get my flipper, my swim fin, and just bring that right up to my face and then just focus on that. So I know I've got something that's, about a foot away.
Wow.
Given that all the inside tips here. So
yeah.
But man, like this is, we're all unique. We all have a different eye. We all interpret things differently. So if I help you with a little tip or a trick, then go out and shoot what you want to shoot. Go out and bring your own unique kind of perspective to things.
Yeah, it's important. Just one more quick, I guess, question and comment about the housing. So this is a housing that's designed for surf and the impact of the waves, whereas scuba diving housings are designed slightly different. The question that's in here is about doing split shots with a dive housing. Is it possible, etc.? But I think the comment that needs to be made is that if you're amongst waves like this, housing from Aquatech, which is designed to handle the impact of a wave, is probably worthwhile getting if you're in around waves. Whereas if you're doing split shots, you can do that with a scuba diving housing or a housing from somewhere like Aquatech.
Oh, totally. Yeah. You're just hovering on that fine line, aren't you? And if you want to do split shots, you want to kind of use a higher f-stop number. You want to kind of start around the f11 and then adjust your kind of ISO according to that, because, you know, when you've got the tighter hole, you've got more things in focus. So if you're going to shoot it 2.8 or 4, you're not going to have a good time. You're going to be wondering why it's not sharp above and below. So, and also you just have to spit on this and lick to get that, because you're shooting wet, you're not shooting dry. So you want a thin film of spit basically over the dome port to enable that kind of clear clarity. So,
yep. Okay, let's jump on to the next one, mate. There's plenty of questions coming.
All good, great. Well, we're still on. I'm going to do 2 images on each lens. So we're still on the same subject. So if the questions relate to this, bring them on. This is my friend Phil Gallagher, who we've had some amazing times together. But that's him using kind of the exact housing that I was just showing you. And he's swimming under the waves there in Hawaii, which we were on a trip testing some new Aquatech gear. And so this one isn't waist high or knee high. This is a fair bit bigger. And the reason this is still here is because it's actually a reef and there's no sand to flick up. But if this was a beach break, it would be cloudy. So yeah, so with this, what I really like about it is just these kind of vortices of water just spinning, like all this turbulence and just getting all those rings. Like I feel like it's a view, an angle that human beings kind of don't normally get to see. I feel like super privileged to, be able to kind of shoot that kind of angle. And I'm just really stoked that my mate is in it as well. So if you're here or you're seeing this in the future, Phil, much love, mate.
Top bloke.
What we're going to see, because we're starting at 16, so we're starting at, super wide. And as we progress to 35, 50, 85, 105, 135, 300, 400, 800, you're just going to see the kind of change in feeling from each image. So to me, everything in focus is great, but it's kind of boring. I really like depth, and I like making your eye discover things through an image, but I'll talk more about that later. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself there. So who's got some cues? Who's got some Q&As?
This looks a bit dark. Do you know what time of the day this was? Was it, or is it simply because of the depth of the ocean?
It's because the reef is almost black. It's volcanic. So the light is coming from the top, hitting the bottom, and it's not refracting as hard. If it was like a corally reef, it would pop. If it was Tahiti or something, it would really pop. Yeah, so it's almost a natural vignette.
Yeah.
Or vignette.
A lot of comments that it looks like a whale.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. Hey, that's real interesting. I never kind of pictured that until someone else said that.
Yeah, I love it. It's good having Phil in there too.
Phil, I go, I'm just going to go and shoot some underwater stuff. He's like, yeah, cool, let's do it. We'll get a couple of shots of the product and it'll be great. And he did that and we went in. And I go, I'm just going to pop back out. Do you mind? He's like, no, go for it. 8 hours later, I came in and he's just like kind of sunburnt and rattled. But, and to be honest, like this is probably the best shot. So anyway, it's not 8 hours wasted, but you kind of lose track of time when you're just in your own world watching these things happen around you. So.
What's the danger factor here for Phil? Is he in a spot where he could potentially be taken back over the falls here or sucked back over, or is he okay?
I think he's just breaking through. So the energy is kind of going over him and it's coming kind of more towards me. But so basically it's breaking like that, right? And Phil's just getting under it and I'm kind of in front of it. But yeah, at bigger kind of heavier waves, there's kind of no safe space. Like he could easily get pulled back into all that energy. And it's, oh man, it's such a crazy feeling to be underwater and to hear and feel the lip go over and break behind you. It's like feels like a bomb going off and then it explodes up in the air and you go with it. So yeah, there's a fine line between getting the shot and staying safe and getting the shot and kind of not having a great time. And one of my images that are coming, I'll explain what happens when your ego gets too big for the situation and you're dealt with accordingly by the ocean.
One of the things that strikes me here, as you just mentioned it before, is the sound. Is this quiet underwater? Do you hear, or are you conscious of the sounds, or is it roaring like a jet engine?
It's silent until the lip breaks, and then you get that kind of just a real deep thud. Yeah, it's like a rumble and then a thud. That's where that is the moment that a beautiful wave becomes whitewash. That's between the barrel and just turbulent white water. That is the split second there, the decisive moment, if you will.
It's a wonderful portrayal of energy. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's man, this just because I had to get some stuff ready for this webinar and I was just thinking, man, I just love shooting. I just love, this is my job and I love doing it. And yeah, and I'm thankful to have the best gear in the world from Nikon. So yeah. I'm going to jump to 35 millimeters.
Yep.
So this image is called Galaxy. It's taken off the front of an island, which you have to walk a couple of kilometers to get to. And then you jump off the front of the island. Oh, if you've seen a movie called Fish People, it's the wave in that where I kind of jump in the water. Anyway,
yep.
If you haven't seen that movie, Google it. It's got some really cool people's relationship with the ocean. And I'm one of the people, which is, really, I'm super, super stoked. So basically what's happening here is with the 35 mil, instead of looking through a dome, instead of looking through a fisheye where you're getting just 170 degrees, now we're using 35. We're still wide, but we're more looking through a box now instead of a circle, basically. So what's happened is the wave has hit a cliff and it's going back out to sea. And as it hits, it's exploding. And moments like this, you can't ever really plan. They're just kind of happy accidents, basically. Yeah, it's called Galaxy because I feel like it's some kind of, how deep do we want to go on this thing? It reminds me of kind of the stars and space and whatnot. So it was almost the name of my first book. Instead of Found at Sea, it was almost called Galaxy, but SEA. So there's a little bit of a tidbit of trivia for you.
So there was a question before, Ray, about how you keep the sun spots off your lens and how you, I guess, stop that from happening. But in this image here, if you had have done that, I think it takes away from some of those elements.
Yeah. So with water droplets, you got to understand, this is secret trade talk here. With water droplets, you go to Bunnings and you get a squeegee and you drill a hole through it and you put a bit of elastic on it and then you can just, it adds an extra step every time you shoot, because you've got to come up, you get your focus, compose your image, but then you swipe the drops away. I've heard that you can also use wax, candle wax, but that kind of leaves a little bit to chance, and you still might get a little bit of beading. But I found the squeegee to be tip top. I've been using that since about 2008, and yeah, that's how I stop that. Sunspots, on the other hand, I prefer not to shoot when it's sunny. So I don't really have that problem very much. I shoot in the first kind of hour or half an hour or 20 minutes in the morning, and vice versa in the evening. So the sun I don't really have a lot to do with the sun. When people are at the beach having lovely beach days, I'm kind of riding a mountain bike or surfing. And when the storm comes and it gets kind of big southerly change, and that's when I like to go to the beach. When everyone's leaving, I'm kind of running down there to be a part of all the kind of wild weather.
And potentially in a cafe somewhere having a coffee as well.
That's true, Chris. I'm guaranteed to have been at a cafe drinking long black.
This is a beautiful image, mate. You could sit and stare. I've got a secondary screen here, and I'm seeing this quite big. And you can sit and just stare at it and just look at all the different elements, and that warm and the cool tones playing with each other. And yeah, it's really cool. It's like, where are we going through this tunnel? And it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Also, man, like I feel like, and my images, or they don't exist on a screen. That's not how I envision them. They're made to be, I don't know, I don't want to say admired, because then it sounds weird. They're made to be just kind of looked at and pondered. And the more you look at them, the more you see, which all that detail is lost, on an iPhone. It's the very, very best tool for sharing. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's kind of made my career being able to share online. So, but the true beauty comes when they're printed and, looked at and pondered, I feel. Oh yeah, this is my screensaver too, by the way. It's my dog just ready for action. It's a little Schmitty.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So this is what I want to show with the two sets of images from each lens, is just how different you can kind of make things look and feel. So the first one was that really, kind of nice, sunny Gold Coast kind of thing, and then more of a dark Hawaiian, vortexes in a person. So to go from that kind of galaxy wave into just an absolute washing machine about to land on my head. Because you're still shooting wide with the 35, this wave is kind of bearing down on me. This is in Hawaii as well. If I imagine that in this group of people that are watching, that there's some surf photographers. You probably know about the bounce theory, where Mike Stewart described it best in 1993. And that's staying out of the energy pocket of the wave. So first and foremost, being in the tube is the safest place, because the wave's energy is in the lip and that explodes. The second best place, apart from the tube, is here, where the wave bounces. So it does that consecutively and loses energy. So although this looks like it's going to rain down on me, I'm allowing it to break and bounce. So I'm getting just about timing, and it doesn't always work, but it works enough to continue practicing it. So there are two images shot with a 35mm, and I shot surfing and surfers way more with the 35mm than just waves. I found more telephoto kind of lenses were my go-to, but in the interest of progression from 16 to 800, I included two 35mm images.
I've lost a sense of scale here, Ray.
Yeah. I think that's the good thing about shooting the ocean, that you bring yourself into it, and then you have to kind of question how big things are, or what's actually happening. Yeah, if it's a surfer, the story's already written because you can see what's happening. And it also, one of my main things with leaving kind of shooting surfing full time into shooting waves was that styles and wetsuits and haircuts and what's cool changes over time. And photos age when they have people in them, which is great because, you know, you can look at photos from the 60s and see, you know, guys on longboards, and these images that people are shooting today will look, they're amazing now, and they'll be historical. But I feel when I look at photos of the ocean that they're kind of timeless. Yeah. Not just my photos, but just photos of the ocean. I just feel like it's got a timeless kind of quality to them. So am I like rambling? Is this?
No, it's beautiful.
All good?
Keep going. Yeah.
No worries. Do we have any Q&As about 35s or flat ports?
No, you know what, you've answered them. There was a few questions there about what you used. The squeegee from Bunnings, that was a one that the hot tip that everyone wanted to hear again. I think we need to start talking to Patagonia or even to Aquatech about making a little branded Aquatech or Patagonia style.
I think Aquatech might be doing that, or Isaac might chime in if he's around. I think
Isaac, Isaac's here. I'm sure everyone's looking for business cases now. So
just want to state first and foremost, I am not getting paid by Bunnings. Okay. Anyway, they're about that long. Cut them in half, and you get 2. All right, I'm jumping to a 50 mil now, which was in my old life, in my surf photography life. That was my go-to lens. That's the lens that I feel like I learnt how to shoot photos of waves and photos of people, and I learned a lot about depth of field and just, you know, 50 is generally what people say. They generally refer to it as what your eye sees. So it's basically, if you turn that way, what you're seeing is you know, 50 mil kind of equivalent. So this image is called Golden Arch. And what is cool about this is that 5 frames before it was just overblown, overexposed. It was a white mess. But what I'm trying to do is use the wave to block the sun. I did mention before that the clouds are my best friend, but sometimes, you know, you don't get that luxury. So you have to kind of envision what you want to shoot and adjust your settings in preparation for that. So if I shot into the sun and expose it in that sense, this would have been super underexposed and maybe not usable. But I went the opposite way, thinking that just get a reading of what you think it's going to be with the luminance through the wave and leave the exposure at that. So I think that was 1250 f8 ISO 100 from memory. So if you could have seen the sequence leading up to it, it was kind of unsalvageable, which is fine because, you know, we got the one kind of shot that I was after. Golden Arch. It's kind of, I could say this about a lot of the images, but you kind of don't get a second shot. Once this goes past, that's it. Like you get, you know, photography in general is capturing a moment, but especially when you're throwing in such a volatile subject, you really are getting kind of less chances. And the very best waves that I've seen, I didn't shoot. I was just sat there with my camera in my hands, just with my eyes bulging out of my head, just going, why didn't you pick up the thing and press the button? Because that would have been maybe the best shot of your life or whatever. So that kind of stuff, missing all the best shots kind of keeps you coming back to want and hope to get, you know, something in the future. There's actually a little bird in there too, which I did consider cloning out, but then I thought, well, you know, he's got every right to be there. That's shot with a 50 mil, and that was shot on the D810. No, that was a D800. So this is kind of for Nikon. This is kind of the older tech of the autofocus system before they got the D5 autofocus for the D810 and the D850. So yeah, that kind of even makes it more special because technology improves and things get easier. But this was just before the big jump into faster focusing and all of that kind of stuff.
Is your priority here, when you go into the water on this particular day, do you say, right, shutter speed is my priority and then aperture and ISO then fill the voids there?
Let me think about that one, honestly. So basically, I only shoot on manual. On any lens, on any body with flash, it's all manual all the time. It's the way I was taught, the way I taught myself. And I guess you just know. Each lens has like a kind of a sweet spot, I feel, where I know things are going to be kind of sharp. And it's a combination. Yeah, I'd love to say it was just one thing, Chris, but I just look at the triangle of, ISO, aperture, and shutter speed, and I don't really have a rule for it. Yeah, I wish I did, but I know what I was taught of what I read in forums was for action it needs to be 1000, and that common rule of f8. What's the saying? F8 something. Anyway, yeah. So I try not to listen to any of the rules, and sure, you're going to make mistakes and you're going to get some kind of weird stuff, but sometimes that's where the magic lies. So this is one. Sorry,
are you still manually focusing at this stage, or have you now moved to an autofocus system for this shot?
Autofocus. So all of these in water shots are using Nikon's amazing autofocus system because they're in the port. I don't have access to that ring to turn. I do have the zoom, but I don't have the focus ring. So these are through the custom functions. I'm using back focus with my thumb, and then I'm firing with my finger or with the trigger. Aquatech has a 2-stage trigger as well, which you can focus and fire with, but I prefer just to be able to go boom, focus, bang, fire, boom, focus, bang, fire. So it's not finicky where I'm like, am I focusing? Am I firing? Am I accidentally kind of pushing it too hard? I like to have a separate action that I can't get mixed up. So the simpler I can keep it for myself, the better it is.
And is it quite predictable where these waves are breaking?
No. This is at the bottom of a cliff, out kind of in the middle of the ocean. It's not really a surfable wave. You wouldn't go for a leisurely swim here. You're kind of swimming out there in the dark, basically, and waiting for the sun to rise. So you get that East Coast golden light in the morning. This looks like it's kind of middle of winter, and it might be 7 o'clock because the sun's quite high. I love the sun when it's kind of on the horizon and it's not actually shooting across at you, it's still shooting up, and that's when you get those really beautiful cloud kind of diffused kind of light, like a bounce light almost off the clouds. So
no,
yeah, so 50 mil on a D800. This next shot is from the same spot. It is still a 50 mil, and it is with the D800 again, I believe. So you can kind of tell, I guess, with the body, the D800, which is, how old would that be now, Chris, since that was the current camera?
Oh dear. 7 years, 8 years? I don't know, 7 years, 6 years?
A while ago, huh?
Yeah.
So this is the stage, I guess, that I went through with the D800. It was, the 50 and the D800 were just the partnership that I had at the time. And the shots before that, the two underwater fisheye shots, were both with the D4 and the 16 mil. So I kind of alluded to it on a Instagram post, on a social media post, that I have these kind of traineeship kind of relationship, getting to know a lens. And I just screw it on and leave it on for months or a year or 2 years. In the case of the next one that I'll show you, I just find that the more time you spend with it, the simpler your photography is, because you're not having to think too much. You're like, well, this is the lens I'm using. If I need to zoom, I can always swim in or swim out, and it gives you that familiarity that when you revisit it, say if I put a 50 mil on now, I just instantly can go back there because I spent 2 years or a year with it mounted on my camera. So I have predominantly shot primes until very recently, and I do those 1 or 2 year kind of internship, traineeship, icebreaker, getting to know you kind of thing. And yeah, once you get to really know a lens, you get to know its sweet spot, you get to know what apertures do what exactly. Yeah, so that's kind of been my philosophy so far until recently. Like 2019, I've started using a 70 to 200. So yeah, I'm here.
Do you have certain locations that you say, right, this is location X, and I get the best results out of a 50 mil in location X?
Yes. So that is what happens, and you keep showing up to X and you keep shooting with that lens, and you get to know what X looks like through that lens. And then you go back to X with another lens, and then everything changes again. So yeah, definitely what you said. And the challenge is, because if you're shooting waves every day, you gotta keep things fresh. You have to challenge yourself, and you have to keep learning, because people are influenced by certain things, and then you see similar images, and then it's time to move on. It's time to move on. Like, gee, that looks like one of my shots online as I'm scrolling mindlessly on Instagram. Why do I shoot? I shoot to show things that have never been seen before. Now I feel like maybe the bar has been lifted, or the circle of influence has spread. Now it's time to try something new. And that's kind of been my progression. Every time I shoot, I just my goal is to show the world something that has never been seen before. That's pretty lofty, but also to have fun, obviously.
Let's get a port for the 800 mil then, shall we?
Hey, that's a yeah. Okay. So yeah, this image is called Mountain, and it's kind of when I started to see liquid objects as a solid kind of thing. And this was the first image that kind of got the attention of the art world. And yeah, as soon as I kind of took it, I knew that there was this, I don't know, maybe it was the composition, but I just felt this kind of solid kind of feeling from it, for lack of a better word. And this was kind of a personal changing point in the direction I was going. So yeah, Mountain. And it was almost ruined by my assistant, who was swimming in front of it at the time and just got out of the way. And yeah, Mountain was born.
So this is the first shot we've seen in monochrome. Was this also a changing time for you? Did you shoot this in monochrome?
No, I post-processed it in it. The light was kind of flat, and I just found that the textures really kind of popped when color was absent. So also, man, like it's a kind of a well-known fact, but I'm colorblind as well. So I'm not really sure what the rest of the world sees, because I can't compare what you see or anyone in this chat sees. I can only kind of go with what I know. But yeah, I get I can't see reds or greens. They kind of look the same. Purples and blues do the same thing. And then like greens and yellows. So I don't really know what's going on, but this is definitely black and white. And I think that disadvantage, quote unquote, has kind of strengthened other parts of photography for me. So yeah, that could be something that separates my work from someone else's, maybe because what I see might be slightly different. So yeah, I kind of focus more on compositions and contrast and textures rather than saturation and color.
There's a question here about what does your assistant do, and I think you mentioned the word assistant, and everyone's like, oh, maybe I could go and be Ray's assistant. What does an assistant do for you?
In situations like this, my friend, well, it's like a mate. So he would warn me when sets are coming, because I'm focusing on looking through this kind of narrow vision with all this stuff going on around me. He'd be like, Ray, just get ready. I can see something feathering out the back, or I think that was a big seal that just went under you. It's basically a lookout, and he kind of just loves to kind of just hang out there as well. So since then, he's kind of got a family and kids, and he's kind of doing his own thing and working a lot and stuff. So, but these kind of older shots really sit really nice with me because, just the times we shared and just some of the situations we got ourselves in. I don't know, like maybe I'm getting old. Some of the days, like, I don't know what kind of came over us, but we would just not really check it. See the charts on the internet the night before and just be like, yeah, we're going out. It's going to be crazy, but we'll see what happens. And we just kind of jump out in the dark and just be like, whoa, I think we've bit off more than we can chew here. Let's, instead of just trying to get in, because you kind of can't, because there's cliffs, you got to swim like out a couple of kilometers and around to like 3 beaches away to get in, because, anyway, so my assistant, Jason, I don't really have an assistant anymore. I've kind of just been more solo, which, so anyway, it's hard to, I get emailed like weekly about it. There's a Q&A on my website about people wanting to do work experience and that. So have a read of that. Basically though, my work is kind of so unpredictable that, when COVID's not an issue, my work's so unpredictable that I don't know whether I'll be jumping on a plane and shooting in overseas for a month, or not picking up a camera for 3 weeks. So it's really, I'm guided by how I feel and what Mother Nature's doing. So yeah, if I was a sport photographer shooting games, or if I was Jason Boland shooting movies, they are set from X date to X date, and this is what I'm doing. But I've got no idea. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow.
Yep. Thank you.
No worries. So that's a 50 mil. Oh. And now we are on the 85. This little guy here. This, if I had to choose one lens to keep on my camera forever, it would be the 85. I found that to be the most versatile for portraits, for action, for shooting kind of anything. And it's my most used lens. I got the most mileage out of that 85 1.4, the AFS-C 1.4G. That lens taught me a lot about photography, and that didn't leave my camera for well over 2 years. That was a bread and butter lens, and I feel like that was some of the most productive stuff I'd ever shot. This is the hardest part of getting this kind of night together, was narrowing down what 85 mil shots, because I had like 10 shots of each lens, and then 85 there was like 90. So I grabbed this one, which is called Holocene. And the reason I included it is because some spots I would just, shoot for years and not really see any people. And then sometimes the crowd would increase over time. And I remember getting to this spot early in the morning and seeing 6 or 8 cars in the car park and already people kind of out there. And it's like, oh man, like, should I just go home? Like, why are we all out there? Just, what do we hope to do? Like, we're all going to be shooting the same thing, and it's kind of not really my vibe. So I just had this kind of overwhelming bravado, like within myself, this kind of, I'm just going to go out there and swim in front of him and just get like the shot, get as critical and get as close as I can with my 85 and just get the shot. And I don't care if I get in people's way. And it's just, it's such a dumb thing to do. And I've kind of I learned a lot from that. Not long after this, the next wave, in fact, it pulled me onto the reef. If you can look kind of down here, this is just like almost dry reef. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Oh, great. So this is a shelf here. This is really deep water, and that's like knee deep water. And I got pulled onto there. And the next wave, which was probably that size or bigger, this is like huge, huge waves. It sucked me over backwards, tore both of my fins off, blew my housing and camera out of my hands, and violently dragged me underwater, probably the length of a football field. And it was like a lesson just to not try and be the man. Like, not everyone's entitled to shoot whatever they want, and it's like you don't have to. Bravado is not going to kind of, I don't know, just don't let your ego get in the way of your ability, because the ocean will snap you out of that quick smart. And man, you know, you got to be honest, and that's what that kind of image represents to me. It's been one of my top selling images ever, but what I see from it is not that, you know, perfect round hole with all this chaos going on. I just see like the lesson that I learned that day.
Would you have got that shot if you didn't have that bravado moment? No. Yeah. Was it a good lesson? Or, I mean, you learnt that lesson, but thankfully you learnt that lesson after you took this shot.
There's ways, Chris. There's cheap lessons and there's expensive lessons. And this was relatively cheap for how expensive it could have been. Yeah. That's
what aperture are you shooting these shots at, Ray? Are you using the full 1.4?
I found the sweet spot on the 85 after years of use to be somewhere between 2.8 and 4. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. So it's in the low range. It's not wide open and it's not f8. But excuse me. There's a few apertures that I just love, and I just hang on those, and they're pretty wide open, but not totally wide open all the time anyway. But yeah, this is 3.2. Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
But yeah,
everyone's going to be following you down to the car park shooting with an 85 mil at 3.2.
Come on, you can come out. Just please be careful, because yeah, you don't want to pay the same mistakes that I've made. But yeah, like, man, it's a good story too as well. But yeah, just kind of just relax, man. You don't want to die over a photo. And I feel now like this is 8 years ago. I don't feel like I've got anything to prove. I'm just me. Like, yeah, I don't have to try and be something or be some kind of chest beating King Kong hero. I just got to capture the beauty of the ocean. So yeah, that's why I chose this.
Sorry, I was going to say, how do you investigate locations that you shoot at? So let's say you want to go to Mexico and shoot somewhere in Mexico. How do you investigate that? And is this a local location to you here?
So what I do, because I grew up around the ocean, it's kind of all I've ever known. It's kind of second nature to me. And I traveled as a bodyboarder to all different parts of the world, surfing waves. And then I traveled as a surf photographer with other surfers. So I kind of got an idea of how the seasons work for different hemispheres and different oceans. But I've got, you know, kind of forecasting tools like, you know, Boy Weather, Surfline, SwellNet, and really good friends who are just absolute wizards, like Dav Fox and Craig Brokenshire, who's like a surf forecaster, meteorologist. So I just kind of lean on people who have expertise in those areas, or I just go and hang it somewhere for a month and just see what happens. That's always cool too. This is local, as in the fact it's in Australia. And yeah, you kind of just get the feel, because you get swell and you've got a period of swell, and then you have tides, and then you have like where the sun rises and sunsets. And when you kind of put all those things together, you just kind of narrow down the rough area you want to go. So it might be mid-north coast of New South Wales, it might be the bottom of WA. Yeah, so you just get a kind of a habit, rolling kind of routine of places you go, and then you just have to do something different every now and then as well. So yeah, fortunately, living in New South Wales, we're just so blessed with so much different geology. So different waves exist. You can drive an hour either way and have long point breaks, wedges, kind of shore breaks, outer reefs and bommies. So we're truly blessed to live in such a beautiful zone.
Does this wave lend itself to shooting longer focal lengths? Like a fisheye here would be too dangerous?
Yeah. You with fisheye, you miss a lot of the depth. Remember how I was saying how everything's in focus and everything's sharp? You would lose the sense of scale, and it would just look like really flat. Fisheye, it can look the same sometimes. I'm just thinking about when I was shooting surfers, a 3-foot wave and a 6 to 8 foot wave can look really similar, just because of the distortion. So it's kind of a luck of the draw. But I don't think fisheye would be recommended here, because there's just so much water moving. Yeah, you're literally on the edge of kind of safety and disaster. And this day, I went over the edge, so to speak.
Final question before we move to the next photo. Did you get your camera and housing back?
Yes, it was secured by a leash on my wrist. So although it was blown out of my hands, it was still connected to my human. But that's real dangerous, because you got a couple of kilograms like swinging around near your head. Yeah, so I didn't lose my camera. I've never lost a camera. I've only, out of the, how long's it been since 2007? The like 13 years that I've been shooting, I've let go of a camera and it's blown off me maybe twice, and I've flooded, as in a little bit of water has come in. I've never flooded or lost, never killed or drowned a camera. And the 2 or 3 times that water's come in, it's from me not either double checking my clips or not checking the O-ring. So they've been operator errors rather than manufacturer errors. So that's the real good thing about the housings I use. So that image that image is called Holocene, and I named it after a Bon Iver song. Mm. This image is called Portal, and I'm quite confident in saying that I'll never get anything like this again. It was so special, in fact, that as soon as I shot it, I went in. It was pretty good waves, and I just thought, at the time, I didn't have a zoom button on my housing. This is years ago now, and I couldn't check if it was sharp, and I just prayed that it was sharp, because I knew like the ocean shouldn't do that. The ocean shouldn't just have a perfectly round hole. I've never seen anything like that. So with the 85, Portal was born, and I clambered up on the rocks and took the back plate off and just zoomed in on it. And when I seen it was like crystal tack sharp, I was so stoked. I was so stoked. I knew it's only happened maybe 3 times in my life where I've gone, that's the shot. Normally you don't know, you just hope. But I just knew the second that that happened, that was the shot. And really rare and really special to feel that. Oh, that's funny you should ask. Yes, it is the cover. Oh, that was unplanned.
It was unplanned, because I was just about to talk about that, because on the book it's flipped. Was that a decision that you made or the publishers?
Yeah, so my designer, Graham Murdoch, who is one of the best designers in the world, he started like Riptide, Surfing Life, White Horses, numerous books. I've worked with him for both of my books, and just we gave it that aspect just so your eye could be led into it. It was more pleasing to for the cover that way. So we ummed and ahed a bit, and we thought, no, we'll put it in. And in the book, it's the right way around. But we figured that it had to be the cover. It had to be the cover, and it didn't work the way it was orientated. So we did the 180 flip, and that was that. That was a scary moment making my own book. That was terrifying because I was still working in the mines and sunk, tens of thousands of dollars into publishing my own book. And I remember calculating all the costs and how many I needed to sell by what date. All I wanted to do was break even. And it was just, you got to back yourself sometimes. And I'm so glad I did, because I think we sold out in a couple of days, the whole print run. So it was just like, oh shit, we've got to get more. This is great. This is great news. Why didn't we get more in the first place? I was just so scared to commit, but yeah, Portal, 85 mil. That was shot on the D4, and yeah, you got that real burst of action with that kind of sports camera. So,
and you do shoot in that way. You shoot continuous high and just shooting a burst of shots.
I do, yeah. I don't really shoot with the action cameras as much now. I'm using more of the kind of high megapixel, slightly slower frame rate. So I'm using the D850. That's my go-to camera of choice. It's like I get to a stage and I'm like, this is all I'm ever going to need. I thought that about the D810. Like, this is it. This is all I'm going to need. It can't be improved. What more could you want? And then, a year later, it's like, oh, you get an extra frame. Oh, you get a faster focusing. So yeah, I'm incredibly lucky. And I'm finding, because I'm printing really large files, that I need those megapixels, and I'll take those slower frames and I'll miss some moments for the sake of being able to have all this real estate to play with in the files.
You printed really large in a building in LA, the building we see from Independence Day that got blown up, and that was a huge print. Was that this shot? I can't remember if it was this one.
Yeah, it was this shot. Yeah, it's I think it's like the length of a football field. Yeah, really large, really pano, and yeah, it turned out pretty nice. It's in the lobby there. Yeah, the Portal. So yeah, you're I don't know. It's all relative to where you're standing as well. So I guess what I've kind of learnt for exhibitions and gallery spaces is that the diagonal width of the image, you kind of want to be that and a half at least away from it. So if you're up, like putting your face against the thing, going, oh, look at that bit there. It's like, it's not meant to be viewed that way. It's meant to be viewed, from, basically double the distance of the width. So that's the kind of little rule that I've stuck to when I'm having an exhibition. I kind of, normally someone's taking care of it all, but if I have to fill the space, that's how I'll kind of do it. So I'll look at where the walkway is and then make some calculations.
This looks like it's a bit brighter than, sorry, brighter is not the right word, but a bit later in the day than the previous shot we saw.
Yeah. Yeah,
Still morning.
Yes, still morning. Got that hazy kind of cloud, so it's not like full sunlight kind of bursting through. Yeah, clouds are your friends, whether you're shooting through them or you're using the refraction or them as a big softbox. Give me clouds all the time. Nothing kind of bums me out more than a really good forecast and like clear skies. It's like, oh, really? But if that's the worst that I need to worry about, then everything's pretty good.
The clouds here, that texture that they offer is just that really nice. They break up what would have, if it was a blue sky, would have just been just one blank color. This is this really lovely texture in the background.
Yeah.
It plays nicely with the color of the wave as well.
It all just works, doesn't it? I love backlit. I love those. I love seeing the translucence through the wave. And you know what? I haven't shot. I've shot once in 2 months, and I'm getting really excited to shoot again. Just talking about this stuff and feeling these feelings again. So yeah, It's really cool to have this chat. So at the start of COVID in March, very early April, I borrowed the 800 from Nikon Australia, from NPS from Ross, and I shot with it every single day for hours, and every condition. I just had like I was only allowed to borrow it for like a month, so I had like a condensed traineeship that I normally would spend, a year doing, and I knew time was precious, and I knew that I didn't want to be glued on Instagram or on the news watching nothing but kind of tragedy unfold all around the world. So it was a great escape, and I actually forgot what I was saying, but that was the last time I really shot, to be honest. We had a crazy kind of weather 2 days ago, and I shot then, but there was a gap between April, so yeah, May, June into July. I didn't shoot for almost 10 weeks. Didn't want to shoot, didn't think about shooting. Surfed a lot, and kind of stayed fit and did other things. But yeah, sometimes I don't really feel like a photographer, which don't be disheartened if you kind of lose your passion for it, because you just need to have a break sometimes. And it used to really kind of worry me years ago when I would feel like that. But then I thought, like, why force it? Because you love it. It's going to come back to you. And yeah, I still do that now. So I think I'm about to hit another kind of period of productive shooting.
So is this then taken in the same spot as the previous wave?
Yeah, you can kind of tell the characteristics, can't you? Between the roundness and that. But look how much closer I am on that. Like, that's a far bigger wave, and I'm right on the edge. And here I'm kind of pulled back a bit and kind of, safe. I'm in deep, deep water.
The contrast actually of these, you talk about the bravado in the first shot, and then this one, clearly it looks to me as almost you're in your peaceful zone. Maybe you've made peace with the bravado demons from before, and this is very much seems more of a peaceful image. I'm not sure if that's chronologically how you took them.
I believe it is. Yeah, it's probably something in there, I think, Chris. Should we jump to the 105? Are there any questions about the 85?
No, it's amazing. Keep going, mate. We can talk about 85 all night, I think.
Yeah, seriously. And understand that these focal lengths, they can exist on any kind of camera brand. So it's not, although I'm talking about my experience with Nikon, if anyone in the chat is using other brands, man, like, you're going to still get similar results from the same focal lengths. Oh, and I'm using full frame on all this. There's no field of view 1.6 times. So they're kind of a true representation on 35 mil. So 105.
Wow.
This lens, I think I rang you when it was first announced, Chris.
Yep.
The day it was announced, and I was like, I really, really need that lens. That is the most glass you could ever kind of, where's the webcam there?
You're good there.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a chunk. That's 1 kilogram of glass and metal. And this was a traineeship I did as well, I guess. Beautiful, beautiful lens. Some of like online and on my Instagram and on my website, you're only going to see photos of waves because that's kind of my job. But for portraiture, damn, this is hard to go past. And I remember shooting photos of my late Staffy, my dog, before she passed away, with this lens, and they're some of the most precious photos that I have of her. So yeah, it came at the right time. So this is a droplet of water. This is kind of my style evolving from surfing to just the weird kind of abstract contrasts and just kind of, I don't know, alien kind of scapes. But what you're looking at here is a really windy day. A storm has just come in, and the wind is blowing the spray off the back. So these big fans of spray. And that's just one of those droplets that got caught in the spray that I was lucky enough to have focused on and shot. And yeah, it was real different and real unique. So I was kind of drawn to it, and yeah, there's a lot of cool detail in it. It's well, that's showing it at 200%, so it might not look totally sharp, but that actually was special enough to get included on my other book as well. So it was pretty nice to give that some breathing space. Yeah, that 105, because we started at 16 where everything was in focus, right? And now we're looking at real separation. We're looking at compression, and we're looking at layers, basically. So everything behind that and everything in front of that is just an unrecognizable blur of bokeh. Yeah, so we're progressing to different feels and different kind of different looks and different feels from different lenses, the more zoomed in that we go.
Definitely an evolution of lighting as well, the way you're seeing the light differently. You can almost see your career progressing through these images.
The way I liken it is that, yeah, like we had bright skies like before, but what I prefer is, imagine instead of a room in daylight with the window open and the sun pouring in, imagine like a room at night lit by one single candle. You sit there enough and you kind of just sit in that moment. You'll eventually see everything, but that candle will be kind of, you know, the focal point, or it'll help kind of give a real mood to things. So yeah, it's a part of the evolution, like you said. It's not necessarily a wave, it's a part of a wave. So the difference between what one image from the 105 can look like and another image from the 105 can be, yeah, real different. So do you want to have a guess to what's going on here, Chris?
So underwater wave, I'm trying to work out whether you're behind it and it's going away from you or coming towards you, but the underwater swell like we saw in the second image. Oh no. Or are you in a helicopter shooting down?
See, man, art should be interpreted different from, yeah, you should bring your own kind of thoughts and feelings to it. And that's what the beauty of it is. Like, it should mean something to someone else. And if you want me to explain what it is, I will. It's neither of those things. It's a creek, a river that had burst from the rain out the front of my old house. And when it burst, it ran into the ocean, and the shore break was kind of standing right up and getting sucked up by this gushing out of a river into the ocean. So it's actually in the middle of summer, and I wasn't really prepared in the sense of having board shorts with me. So I'm actually in my underwear, and my friends from the car park seen it, and I've got some hideous photos of me laying like a beached whale, kind of, you know, on my stomach on the sand. And that's what that is. That's a river that I'm laying in and kind of crouching in, and it's rushing out into the waves. And as it's rushing out and the waves are coming in, it's making this real pronounced kind of drawn updraft kind of feeling. But yeah, it's the same lens as the one single droplet. And yeah, it kind of just shows a little bit of versatility. Yeah, but I can see both of the things you said, why you said them, because it kind of looks like either one of those things.
It's beautiful. And again, in black and white, it probably works better in black and white.
Yeah, because it was real brown. Like, it was just a creek burst. So it wasn't, the colors were not very pleasant at all.
I've seen the water in those creeks. So yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Let's jump right into 135.
Yes.
This shot is called Eagle. It's taken with this defocus image control AFDC F2. It's a very obscure lens. It's got a metal hood that kind of is inbuilt on it. It was made in the 90s. It never really took off from Japan to the USA market, because I believe they called it the defocus control. And I think that people kind of they didn't really grasp it, but I feel like this is an exceptional lens. I'm glad to have it because it's a bit of a relic. But what you can actually do is control the bokeh. So you can set your aperture, and then you can control the out of focus points, whether you want them to be really sharp hexagonal blades or really rounded blades. You have the ability to change what your out of focus highlights look like with this lens. How cool is that?
Mm.
This was an eagle. It's another one of those unique images that I feel incredibly grateful to have captured. Patagonia used this in their kind of some of their advertising and in their flagship stores in New York and in some of their books and catalogs and stuff too. And yeah, it's just a kind of real pleasing, unique kind of, I don't know, piece of water. I find that a lot of the images can kind of represent other kind of things, like you can see birds or like a whale, someone said earlier. There's just so much of nature kind of replicating nature. And I don't know, I've got a pretty good imagination too, so it could be that. But yeah, I call this eagle because I felt like it looked kind of like a bird. And yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I like the light fall off it too, all the way into the kind of close to me. So yeah, 135. I've got a lot of separation between me and the wave now. What I'll show you is the difference of getting close with that lens, which is what I'm going to show you now.
Oh, wow.
So now we're up close and personal with that same lens, with that 135. You can see the bokeh in the background, how just like creamy and rich it is. And just that one point of focus, which is those little ruffled feathers. When you're looking at any kind of image or art, you want to be led in from the left to the right, and you want to follow basically the Da Vinci spiral, and you want to discover things along the way. I feel like this image kind of really allows that to happen. It's, yeah, there's a lot going on, but it's also so simple, and it was taken with the 135.
It's amazing. This is the same location that you were with the, was it the, where you went over the falls?
No, this is just a little beach break. Just, yeah, in that late afternoon light, just really twinkly and just real pleasant, kind of not very kind of scary conditions at all. Just really nice light and just kind of beautiful conditions, really.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So we've gone 16, 35, 50, 85, 105, 135. And we're going to do a pretty significant jump into 300 territory. For the sake of time, Chris, should I move through these quicker to finish at 7:30? I think we have 3 more images. No, we have 5 more images.
Yeah, let's maybe do that, and then we can leave a little bit of Q&A. I'll stop interjecting as well, and you just talk through them, and then we'll get to the end. If there's some Q&A, we can save them for the end.
Okay. 300 millimeters from the water is extremely hard to focus on the thing you're looking at, which is way down the line, and also keep your peripheral vision open to what's happening immediately around you. It's very easy to either be stuck in the what's going to affect you or what you're shooting, but you have to be wary of both things happening at the same time. This is, you're really, really, really isolating a tiny part of a wave. Instead of getting the 16 or the 35 wide box kind of feel, you're getting this tiny little section of the wave. So this is taking way down the line, like 100 meters from where I'm sitting, maybe less, maybe 80 meters. But every time you go up or down, you're kind of moving your whole field of view 10 or 15 meters. So it's a real hit and miss. And fortunately, if you get a keeper, they're usually pretty good, but you might miss several hundred trying to get that one shot. So with that 300 mil in the housing, luckily, this new technology with the nano coating, PFED, the 300, it's really light. It's actually lighter than the 24-70 and fits in the same port. So it's very compact and very user-friendly. Same kind of story here. This is the first time I took it overseas. This is in Hawaii, and I shot for 2 full days and really got 2 images from 10 hours of shooting. So no one sees the failures. No one sees the stuff that didn't make it, or the almosts, or the near misses, or the out of focus, or the water droplets. You just see the ones that kind of made it. So yeah, that image is real special to me because of just what I had to go through to learn about that lens. And yeah, it was the same thing I did with all the other lenses. I left it on. I shot all conditions, big, small, otherwise, with a 300, and that was real hard. I'm not really sure if it was a good thing to do, but I did it, and now I have a feeling I know that lens now. So now all of those that you've seen today have been taken in the water. The next couple, because we're jumping now from 300 to 400, the next couple all from out of the water. This is looking down on maybe the biggest wave I've ever seen in my life, biggest swell I've ever seen in my life. And I'm looking out of a helicopter with a 400mm lens, and crazy things are happening. If you could see the detail of just white water and pushing and pulling and suction and kind of like a waterfall and light going into light up the inside of a wave. I'm still really not sure what's going on there. Anyway, this is a part of my limited edition series that I've just released. And yeah, there's only ever going to be 5 of these printed large and 10 of these printed small. And that will be the end of those. The series is called Fleeting Perspectives, and there's been a few sold already. So that's a really positive sign that kind of I'm on the right path and I'm evolving my work and my ethics and my output. And yeah, I want to make valuable things. And this is the start of my next kind of steps. Taken with that same lens, in that same swell, was this image with the 400. It is a 50-foot wave exploding. Gosh, I could just tell you about how the earth was kind of shaking. I'm on the beach, and water that was coming up into the grass was waist high. So I was on a tripod and having to pack everything up, put it on my shoulder, and run up a hill to get back down and get the shot again. So this is from a series of trips I did just before COVID hit, end of last year and the start of this year. This was shot on the 1st of January 2020. So yeah, it was a good way to kick off the year. I had no idea that we'd be where we are now, but that's where we were, and I'm going to be, I feel like, yeah, I'm still getting my head around this series. Yeah. 400, 800. That's actually with a converter on. So it's 1.2 with an 800, 1000 millimeters. That's what 1000 millimeters looks like from a cliff, shooting a wave that's very, 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 very far away. It's kind of inaccessible to swim to, and maybe too big to swim to. This is part of the 1 month that I had with the 800 that I lent off NPS, and this is kind of more of what I want to do. So yeah, I hope that it's available for me to use more in the future, because I feel like there's just so much to show with such a unique focal length is going to bring unique images.
I'm speechless. At first, when you said that that series from the 400 mm was from a helicopter, and then you showed the second shot, I'm like, hang on, you're not from a helicopter down there.
Nah, that's low flying. Yeah, so they are, yeah, they're kind of still new to me, and I'm still, the other shots I've been processing them in my mind for years, and these are months old. So I put them out into the world, and I haven't really looked at them since. So yeah, it's a next step, and I want to keep evolving. And as I mentioned before, like I just want to keep showing things that have never been seen before, and I feel like that's a unique image, as is that, and our closing one of that. That's actually 2022's calendar cover.
Wow.
Yes.
Again, I'm speechless. There are a lot of comments about how far you have to swim to get to some of these waves, but the beauty of this is you just pull up in your car and put the 800 mm on, flick the teleconverter, and away you go.
Yeah. I've still got thousands of photos that I haven't even looked at with that 800. I just shot it, like I said, for days on end, and backed them up onto 2 hard drives and wiped the cards and went and shot again. I haven't even looked at them. So I think there'll be some special images in there. I kind of look at my shooting as putting stuff in a bank, making deposits, and then withdrawing them later on in life when the time comes around, when you're injured, or when there's no waves, or when you kind of just really want to dig in, get deep into computer land and put some music on.
I think also our eyes change, and certainly we had one of these talks with Jason Boland before, and Jason was talking about an image that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, didn't really appeal to him, but now looking back through a catalogue really does appeal to him now. And I think we all sort of go through that stage where our tastes change, or things that are important to us change. And having them there in a catalogue is really, really nice to go back through some of the older work.
Yeah, it really is.
It
really is.
There's been 2 questions on post-production. Do you spend a lot of time on post-production, and what is kind of your workflow for post-production?
Some images, it's so easy. It's just, contrast, brightness, saturation, boom, you're out of there. Some, yeah, you delve into it, you spend some time with it, you walk away from it, you come back and look at it again, you adjust things again. The basic kind of flow for me, I haven't graduated to Lightroom, although I should, I hear, but I just kind of view everything in Bridge, then bring it into Adobe Camera Raw, ACR. First and foremost, do everything you can in camera. Do everything you can. Tell the story with what you have in your hands, because it's going to be so much easier down the line. So yeah, import it, check it out in Bridge, Adobe Camera Raw. That's where the meat and bones goes, and then do some touch-ups in Photoshop, dust spot, droplet, whatever needs to be cloned out, or just, slight adjustments. That's basically it.
Is it at that point you give your images names?
Yeah. It's a weird thing, isn't it? With the limited edition stuff, I didn't give them names because I wanted it to be different from all the names that I gave them. They're just like Roman numeral numbers. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I look back at some of the names and I'm just thinking, whoa, man. Yeah. There's no hard and fast rule to naming the images, but there's some weird and wonderful ones in there.
Well, I think everyone who's been here tonight probably wants to have a little bit of touch of coloured blindness, Ray, after seeing the way you post-produce your images and the way they look. So the way you see things is pretty amazing. We're in that stage where we're going to wrap up. So if there's any other last-minute questions, we'll ask those. One question that I had was water, land, or chopper. What's your favorite?
Oh my goodness. They're all so good for so many different reasons, but it would have to be water, then chopper, then land. Land definitely third. And then, yeah, water because it's accessible at any time, and chopper because it's just so unique. And yeah, water for sure, because I'm part of the experience. I'm at eye level and I'm feeling the energy. Water.
I guess we see lots of images and videos that you post of you body surfing, and I think that probably gives you a chance to look at the water without your blinkers on and without an 85mm lens attached to your eye.
Freedom, man. The ocean's freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my home, eh? I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. You and I shared some pretty nice moments over time, but this is certainly one of them, Ray. I really love talking to you. The minute that I got to sit and look at the unfolding of your second book, you laid it out in this broadsheet and said, this is the progression. If you want a book to read, just grab that one and you see this whole progression of imagery and stories, and it is phenomenal. Ray, these are all available at Amazon, so you can go on Amazon and just purchase away from there.
Yeah, Amazon in the US, and on my website, which is my name, raycollinsphoto.com. And you can get the book bundle, which is like 15% discount, and you can watch my progression from shooting surfers and people and waves and weird stuff and now. Yeah, and
I would implore everyone to go and watch Fish People. I think such a beautiful movie, but there's a wonderful section on you in there, Ray. So, but all of the other stories told about the ocean are really beautiful as well. So definitely go to Netflix and watch Fish People.
Yeah, thanks for having me, everyone. Hope it was worth your time, and yeah, really appreciative to have the life I have and the opportunities I have, and trying to take it for granted. And yeah, man, shoot what you want to see. Don't shoot what you think others want to see. Just be you and be the best version of you.
You're amazing, Ray. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everyone that's been here tonight. For the Australian market, we will send out the email for for everyone. We'll send out the email for the feedback forms. But there is also the 15% off discount at the Nikon store. And if you have any questions, you can email them to me as a reply email, and I can certainly answer those for you. And make sure you go on to Ray Collins Photo on Instagram and give Ray a follow. The 214,000 he's got on there should be enough, but we can add a few more for it tonight, hey?
Thanks for having me, everyone. Love yous.
Thanks, great. Have a great night. Thanks, Ray. Take care.